sirolimus and paclitaxel act to reduce the proliferation of smooth muscle cells, thereby inhibiting the rates of restenosis in the vasculature. But that's where the similarities end. Sirolimus, as we know from the coronary arena, has got advantages in terms of reducing the restenosis in arteries. One of the differences between sirolimus and paclitaxel is that sirolimus has got advantages in having more anti-migratory properties on smooth muscle cells. And secondly, it is also designed as an anti-inflammatory agent. And that's the difference between sirolimus and paclitaxel. It also acts on different phases of the mitosis of the smooth muscle cells. So instead of being cytotoxic, sirolimus is cytostatic, which means it just kind of puts the smooth muscle cells to sleep, if you like, but it doesn't kill it. So from the safety point of view, it has got plausible biological advantages. However, the disadvantages with sirolimus is that it is harder to coat sirolimus onto the balloon. And secondly, even if you can coat the sirolimus onto the balloon, it is harder to transfer sirolimus onto the vessel wall and to retain it for longer periods of time because of the differences in the lipophilicity of sirolimus. It is less lipophilic compared to paclitaxel.
It is very difficult to have a product which is really firmly coated, and on the other hand side also gives the opportunity to release the drug into the vessel wall. And I think only two products are right now on the market which have this capacity to do so in theory, but I think you have already some first experience, especially in Singapore. You were one of the first using the Magic Touch balloon.
Yes, I've been fortunate to start using the Magic Touch Sirolimus-coated balloons in peripheral arterial disease back in 2017 as an investigative device. In my experience, it has got differences between sirolimus-coated balloons and paclitaxel-coated balloons. We conducted the XTOSI first-in-man trial, which started in 2018, and we have shown that for BTK arteries, the patency rates at 6 months is excellent at 74%. We know that without drug coating the arteries after angioplasty, the patency rate is very low at 40% at 6 months. So we're very pleased with the 74% at 6 months. And we know that for femoral popliteal segments, the patency rates at 6 months is very good at 88%. In terms of my personal experience, I can see that the advantages with sirolimus-coated balloon is that there is no evidence of any distal embolization or slow flow phenomenon, which you see sometimes with the paclitaxel devices. And I think that's got to do with the different excipients used for the sirolimus-coated balloons. Like you just said earlier on, it is very difficult to coat sirolimus onto the balloons, and it is very difficult to achieve transference. And this has driven the technology behind it, and Concept Medical has got a very innovative solution to that. They use the nanonute technology, and I think that has got a big part to play in the absence of any slow flow phenomenon and distal embolization.
Coming back to the safety profile of this balloon, of the Sirolimus-coated balloon, I was very astonished that you had a 100% ulcer healing rate in your first cohort, which were extremely ill patients. You have to see, most of them had 90% were diabetes with a high rate of ulcerations, and you had a strong healing rate. So this is, I think, much higher as you can expect if you're using POBAR, or isn't it?
Yes, I think it has led directly to an improvement in limb salvage rates. In our practice, CLTI constitutes about 95% of our total practice in Singapore. Now, when I presented the 24-month results of the XTOSI trial yesterday at Charing Cross, there are, of course, in a CLTI cohort, there will be some limbs that are lost, but our limb salvage rates at 2 years remain excellent at over 90%. And we found that in patients who are still alive and who still have their legs at 2 years after application of the sirolimus-coated balloon, 100% had remained ulcer-free. So they come to clinic at 2 years, if they're still alive and they still have their legs, they do not have any recurrence of the ulcers on their legs. So we're very pleased with that result.
Yeah.
So in our practice, we treat a lot of BTK arteries. And BTK arteries, as you know, are very different to femoral popliteal arteries. They are smaller and they frequently have higher rates of calcification, and they are very difficult to treat. And from that point of view, I see sirolimus-coated balloons as having definite advantages over paclitaxel-coated balloons, which, as you know, have shown equivocal results in the randomized controlled trial data from the Impact Deep trial, and also from our own trials in Singapore, the Singapore trial, which was recently published. So we want to go on now to randomized controlled trial data. And Ulf, you are the global principal investigator of the largest head-to-head comparison between sirolimus-coated balloon versus paclitaxel-coated balloons in the femoral popliteal arena. In your opinion, what hurdles must the sirolimus-coated balloons get over, if you like, to be before they can be accepted as the standard of care in treating femoral popliteal arteries?
Sure. I have to say you have already very good experience, and your first results, which were observational, more or less observational trials, the XTOSI trial, gives us the hint that we have really a very good balloon. So some might say, on the one hand side, well, isn't this enough evidence? But no, what we have to prove today is, and to convince the whole community that sirolimus-coated balloons are a clear alternative to paclitaxel, is that we really need a head-to-head comparison. And this is why we actually went to design and start our Sirona trial. Sirona is a head-to-head trial, as you already mentioned, and the head-to-head comparison means that we have under the same conditions, randomized, controlled, multi-center, international, to show that at least, and this is something which we have to reach, that the sirolimus balloon is non-inferior to paclitaxel. And this is actually our main aim in terms of efficacy. So if it's even better, fine, but at least it should be non-inferior, because we know from all other trials that the efficacy of paclitaxel, especially in the femoral popliteal artery segment, is actually already proven. It's not yet by guidelines standard of care. In the femoral popliteal arteries, recent guidelines still say that POBA and actually stent angioplasty is still state of the art. But from clinical trials, we know that paclitaxel is very effective in the femoral popliteal artery. But there's another problem. This is the safety profile. We know, I don't have to repeat this, there is still some alerts regarding the safety of paclitaxel, all-cause mortality, etc. In meta-analysis, there is a clear indication or hint that there might be a higher risk, and therefore authorities all over the world have their restrictions regarding the use of paclitaxel-coated balloons, especially in the peripheral arteries. And I think, therefore, I see also the advantage of sirolimus, as you already explained. It's a really safe drug. This is something we also should prove in a head-to-head trial, once again, to confirm, not to prove, to confirm it. And I think we answer there two questions: efficacy, as good as paclitaxel, and safety profile, there is no risk of sirolimus. This is what we try to answer with the Sirona trial.
Thank you very much for explaining the rationale for the Sirona trial. I wish you all the best in conducting the trial.
Yeah. And me too. I also looking very curious to your results from your future BTK and SFA trial. And I hope that next year at Charing Cross, we will be able to, at the same place, to discuss our first results from our trials. Thank you.